time it is. Marvin Devine, Hoover, Axel, and you know how we do. Yeah, I got the juice, yeah, I got the juice. Whip game cool, make them look like cool. Always play it cool, that's the biggest rule. Forget what they doing, keep on doing that. I've been making loot since like 22. Ask me how I made it right here in the booth. I'm always pursued cause of what I pursue. That's greatness, yeah, I gotta make it, I got things to lose. Boy, wanna get in my crew, but you can't get in my crew. Me, Axel, and Hoover, way too fireable. When this joint drop, better call the troops. And when you hear the drop, better raise the roof. Better raise the roof. You already know what happens when we link up. Let's go. Yeah, I got.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to another broadcast of Kidney Hub East Africa. I am half your host, Steve the Kidney. Our TikTok family watching right now live. Thank you guys for watching and your support. Today, my host and myself are going to finish part 2. Rights and responsibilities, something that you should be aware of and that each kidney patient should fundamentally receive at each dialysis clinic. I don't care if you're in the United States. Every kidney patient deserves to be treated with respect, dignity, and compassion. So again, here to join me once again the ambassador, Brother Moses Kennedy. Moses, good evening. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brother Steve. Despite all the challenges, I want to say it's yet another bright day, but then with a few challenges. As you can see, my face is today a little bit puffy. It was so puffy this morning, but Steve, we must keep on going. This is the encouragement I want to give fellow warriors to keep on fighting. Back to you, Brother Steve.
Yeah. And again, I mentioned yesterday, yes, I had talked about you yesterday. I mentioned that over in East Africa, that most places warriors are on. And so right there, you're already at a disadvantages of getting the standard 3 times a week treatment that's being performed in the United States and other parts. Continue to keep you and the other kidney warriors in East Africa in thoughts and prayers, and hope one day that the health services will change that and pay for 3 treatments a week.
Absolutely. That is my hope also.
Yes. So, Brother Moses, we left off about 2 weeks ago talking about patients' rights and responsibilities. And mentioned the TikTok is right that I wanted to emphasize on before we moved on to patient standards of conduct and responsibilities. And that was patient's right number 28, according to this particular sheet from a well-known corporate company here in America. And it says, patient has a right to freely express or grievances, verbally or in writing, personally, anonymously, or through a representative of their choosing. My comments, complaints, and grievances may be expressed to administration, the company corporate compliance department, the ESRD, which is End-Stage Renal Disease Network Organization, and appropriate regulatory agencies, a reprisal or denial of service. And Brother Moses, this one is really important because it's a young lady on social media, on TikTok, that's advocating for a mom and assaulted by a dialysis worker. Now, I don't know the full details of the situation, but that's allegedly. Now, if that is the case, that's unacceptable. File a complaint and they try to do it anonymously. Here, a lot of times, they end up finding out who lodged the complaint. Now, over in East Africa, is there some place for fellow warriors to express comments, complaints, or grievances verbally or in writing, personally, anonymously, or through a representative of their choosing?
Well, Brother Steve, patients' rights here in Kenya is really well articulated, anchored in our 2010 Constitution, the right of patient and responsibilities. But then, Brother Steve, renal industry being a young industry in Kenya, so we do not have much breakthrough in terms of implementing. The writings are clearly on the wall. And even if you read the patient's right and how the complaints can be channeled or launched to relevant authorities, then you can really appreciate how good our laws are. But the problem is that implementing. Now, to be relevant here in Kenya, there are bodies that you need to launch a complaint to, but then it is a tedious process. It is tiresome, tedious, sometimes involve even money, because going at the Ministry of Health to launch a particular complaint is not easy. Yes, it is anchored in the constitution, but then the process has a lot of bureaucratic. That bureaucratic process itself makes it difficult for the patient to be assisted. And then we have the Nursing Council of Kenya. Then we have what is called doctors, practitioner, and dentist board. Then we have pharmacy and poison board. You know, such bodies generally it is not easier to testify against their members. They seem to protect their members. So it is a challenge. It is a challenge, Brother Steve. Unless it is something that attracts the public domain, that is when it can be acted upon. But then within hospital facilities, I know for private hospitals, it's possible to have such resolutions reached out to. Back to you, Brother Steve.
Yes, guys, please stand by. We're experiencing internet complications today. I guess the devil don't want us to get this information out there, because we haven't had this type of issue in a long time. But we're going to keep digging through this to make sure your rights and responsibilities are adequately explained to you. So one more thing I wanted to talk about, Brother Moses, that a lot of people miss here, is that they have a right to be informed about and participate, if desired, in all aspects of their individualized plan of care, and be informed of the right to refuse treatment. See, a lot of people don't know they have a right to refuse dialysis treatment. Now, I'm not encouraging that, but what I'm saying is you have people who say, I don't want to do it, and they may feel like they come to the end of the road, and they sane, and somebody talks them out of it, or the doctor talks to them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what if that person doesn't want to do it, and now they're spending the rest of the days being miserable? The doctor and the other people don't come home with that person, especially if that person is alone, have multiple complications, medical complications, just feel like they don't want to go through with dialysis. But here again, patient has a right to be informed about and participate, if desired, in all aspects of my individualized plan of care, and be informed of the right to refuse treatment, and to be fully informed of the medical consequences of refusing treatment. Now, we lost Brother Moses, and that can be expected because of the internet issues we're having. But this is what people need to know, their rights. And if you're watching this right now, and you're like, Steve, No one ever told me about any rights and responsibilities. If you go to outpatient dialysis, then you had to sign a consent form and that form. And if you don't have it, go back to your clinic and ask them for a copy of it. And then if an issue goes on, you can bring this to their attention. Like, for instance, number 29 of this corporate company says patient had the right to have reasonable requests. Reasonable requests responded to promptly and adequately within the capacity of the facility. So if you go in the dialysis and somebody sticking you or giving you issues, and you don't want them working on you, your mom, your dad, or your loved one, you had the right to, and you request it, you had a right for that administrator or that clinical manager to respond to that request. Now, let's move on to the other part of this. Yeah, it is another part. This is the patient standards of conduct, responsibility, and facility rules. This is what they want you to go by. Now, we lost Brother Moses, so I can't answer what goes on in Kenya when it comes to patients' standards of conduct, responsibility, and the facility rules there. Okay? And as you heard him say about patients' rights, it's almost like they have it, but it's almost like it says it's a joke. So share this live, drop a comment. We need some more people in here watching this, because let me tell you something. As I said before, I don't have a dog in the race. And the fact that many people are starting dialysis at a rapid rate, that they don't think about these type of situation. Patients stand, when you go and you sign the form, when you start treatment, you just think it's a bunch of papers. I do the same thing, go to the hospital and they come up to you with all these papers, consent forms and this and that. Shit, it's almost like reading a contract. And you're like, you just put it away. I get to it later. But when it comes to dialysis, this is a place that you go back and forth until you either get a transplant, transfer somewhere else, or pass away. And when you go there, again, rights, responsibilities, standards of conduct, things happen. So let's talk about the standards of conduct. And this is what this company says. They say the purpose of this form is to acknowledge that as a blank patient, just put the company you go to, fill in the blank. As a blank patient, I must comply. Now listen to these words carefully. I must comply with the following responsibilities to myself, the facility, the blank teammates, and my fellow patients. I am also responsible for adhering, wait a minute. I'm also responsible for adhering to the facility rules. Check this out. Listen to this verbiage. Failure to comply. Almost sound like a police state. Failure to comply with the patient's standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules may result in consequences. Listen to that verbiage. Failure to comply with the patient's standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules may result in consequences. Now, what are those consequences? When it's your life at stake, what is your consequences? This is what you have to ask yourself. Because for some people, you know what that consequences was? Death. Being blackballed. Not able to go to another facility because erroneous information was in your chart and it's passed along to other facilities. Why are you transferring? Oh, let me read the records. Oh, no, and let me tell you something. Once you get discharged from a facility, ain't nobody responsible or have to take you. They don't have to take you. And you have a life, you need life-saving treatment, and here it is, no one accepting you. What the hell? Nobody deserves that. So again, failure to comply with the patient's standards of conduct, responsibility, and facility rules may result in consequences. And they got an S added on to that. So it's not consequences. So what is it? We all know what it is. It's involuntary discharge. And come back tonight on TikTok where I talk about patient blackball. Now let's get it. And it goes on after that, says, please read the following statements carefully. They said carefully because they want to make sure you don't miss a thing. Number one, patient standard of conduct and responsibilities. Now, when I say blank, you wherever you go, whether it's Fresenius, DaVita, US Renal, community dialysis, satellite, mom and pop, I don't know. But you put their name when I say blank, and that applies to you. Okay? Number one, I have the responsibility to comply with the blank financial policies and am required to sign a patient acknowledgement authorization, and financial responsibility form. Number 2, I have the responsibility to provide blank with accurate identification, demographic information, and insurance coverage information upon registration with blank and throughout the course of receiving treatment from blank. 3, I had a responsibility to cooperate. Listen to this verbiage. I had a responsibility to cooperate with the social worker and keep him or her updated with changes to my name, residential address, insurance or financial status, employment, changes in my family support system. They want that money. And other changes that may affect my health care and ability. Check this out. And ability to meet my financial obligations for services received from blank. I will notify blank as soon as possible, but no later than 2 business days after any such change. 4, I am responsible for coming to treatments as scheduled and arriving on time. See, this is where a lot of people get lost. Because if you arrive after your time, now they have reasons to cut your time. I am responsible for coming to treatments as scheduled and arriving on time. If I need to change my scheduled treatment time, I must notify the facility administrator during normal business hours and no later than 2 hours prior to my scheduled treatment. And the change must be approved by the facility administrator. Number 5, I had a responsibility to follow let me repeat this. I had the responsibility to follow the directions of the charge nurse while in the facility. Number 6, if I submit an advance directive, I am responsible for immediately notifying my attending physician, the nurse responsible for my clinical care, and or my social worker if I want to change my advance directive in any way. Number 7, I had a responsibility to adhere to all aspects of my dialysis treatment as prescribed by my physician. Now check this out. If I disagree with the prescription or desire that changes be made, I must discuss it with my attending physician. My physician is the only one who can order these changes. We got Brother Moses back. Let's add him to the discussion. Welcome back, Brother Moses.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad you're able to return. Now, I done went down. Oh, my God. We done lost him again. That's the devil. But we're going to put our foot down on your neck, devil. You're not going to stop this broadcast. All right. Now, it goes on, number 8. Oh, let me go back to 7. because this is important as well. I have the responsibility to adhere to all aspects of my dialysis treatment as prescribed by my physician. So basically, if you're supposed to run 3.5 hours, they want you to run 3.5 hours. If you 4 hours, they want you to run 4 hours. And then here we go, person starting to cramp and take me off. Yes, they're going to do that. This is my body. I can come off if I want. And you're absolutely right. And now they're going to come to you with the AMA. And for those of you who don't know what the AMA is, it stands for Against Medical Advice. You're going against what they're advising you to do. I see it all the time. All the time, patient, take me off. Take me off. Take me off. You got to sign the form. I ain't signing shit. Okay. That's all. I still take your patient refused to sign. That's all they're going to do. Let me bring Brother Moses back up. All they're going to do is say patient refused to sign the form. And then you put something smart on there, none of your business. I see it all the time. Or whatever, be sarcastic and then sign the form and here. All they do is put that in your chart. And when it's time, if you want to get a transplant, guess where all that information goes to? And you got the people sitting around at the transplant table, the people deciding on who should go, if we should put you on the list. And you got down what they looking down on the paper, going through all this, the social worker and the doctor, and they looking at all that stuff you read, and they be like, nah, this not a good candidate, because how do we know this person's going to be protecting their kidney and adhering to certain conditions that we want that person to do when you had that transplant? No, we can't tolerate this type of patient behavior. So that's what they want. They want you to have a responsibility to adhere to all aspects of the treatment as prescribed by the physician. And if you see, this is the thing, if you disagree, stand up to that kidney doctor. Don't just take whatever they say in face value. And have an argument, meaning have support with your argument. Do your research. And at the least say, let's try this. Don't go up and try to make demands. Say, hey, let's try this and see if it works. Number 8, which is important, especially for new people who are about to start dialysis. I am responsible for my own transportation. I am responsible for my own transportation. Thank you, Kayla, for comment. I definitely appreciate your feedback. And that's true, because if you don't have a ride, a hoopty, how are you going to get to dialysis? And see, this is the thing that happens with a lot of people, and they don't realize it. What happens is you meet the doctor in the hospital, the kidney doctor, you just start, and he wants you to go to this clinic, nowhere near your house, because the clinics near your house is not one that he goes to. So instead of them looking out for your best welfare, oh, we can get you set up with transportation and this and that, talk to the social worker. And you go to a clinic way across town where you got to get up extra early. I guess the only good thing having a lot of clinics in the community is if somebody is close, they don't have to go way across town. They can go right down the street. But that doesn't negate the fact that there's a problem. 13, 14 dialysis clinics within a 3-mile radius. There's definitely a problem. All right, so transportation is a must. You got Uber, you're going to need money for that. You got Lyft, you're going to need money for that. Then you got public transportation, and that's state transportation. Somehow, you got to make it to dialysis. Now, let me tell you the good part about living in the city, in the urban area. And this may be in the city where you're at. Now they got the scooters. But that costs money. So you can scooter your way to dialysis. But somehow you got to get to dialysis. Now, what about the kidney warriors that live in rural areas and the clinic 10, 15 miles away from them? Now what? So this thing is big. But these companies aren't responsible for getting you to dialysis. That's why it's in this pretty much contract. And you sign it because you said you're going to provide your own transportation to dialysis. And you got people who forget about this and they call the unit saying they can't get to dialysis. Can you get me there? And they're going to say, no, we're not responsible. And how you think they must feel over in East Africa? It ain't like they could call a unit or a cab. They got to get to treatment any way they can, including walking. Number 9, I am responsible for treating other patients, visitors, and facility teammates with consideration and respect. I will not engage in any behavior that endangers, threatens, or harms others or use profanity. Now, I've been in units and a person infiltrated or put the needle in and they got cussed out. I even got cussed out. I went, technician say, hey, Steve, patient wants such and such a medicine. I walk over to get this person. Never met this person in my life, this gentleman. Say, Mr. So-and-so, they said, you wanted this? He said to me, MF, get the F out of my face. Say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. And I left. Not left out of the unit, but I got out of his face. I'm not going to sit there and argue with him like, what you say? Who you talking to? Nah. But do you think this person got put out? No. I didn't go to the administrator and say, this so-and-so did this to me. No. What do you do with people that have mental illness? Schizophrenia. They get kidney disease too. And they zap out on you. Now what? Do you put a person out for their mental illness? Or do you keep the patients and the staff in danger? Brother Moses, welcome back. We're talking about patients' standards of conduct, responsibility, and facility rules. Now, I'm sure in East Africa and Kenya, where you're at, that has to be at your facility, patient standards of conduct, responsibility, and facility rules. This such documents you have over there.
No.
Can you elaborate?
I can't hear.
Can you sign off and sign back on? So again, we're having internet issues, but as I was mentioning to Brother Moses, I don't think any such document may have over in Kenya. I don't know. Let's move on. Number 10, I am responsible for treating other patients' information as confidential. You see, some people be online, on TikTok, Facebook, and be in a unit, and you see them having their camera, and you may see some of the staff and other patients in passing, or if they pan in the camera. It says it right here. And I mean, that's other people's privacy. And then you may have people say, you hear about so-and-so? He's sitting in the patient lobby. Number 11, you're responsible as an integral part of my healthcare team. I am responsible for participating in the care planning process to the extent I'm reasonably able. Number 12, now check this out, because this happens. I've seen this in my career. Number 12, I am responsible for making child care arrangements so that children are not brought to the dialysis facility without supervision. I kid you not. I seen a young mother on dialysis, didn't have a babysitter, had to bring 2 kids to sit out in the lobby while their mother getting dialysis. Very, very sad, but necessary, because she couldn't find childcare. Now, you know it has to be a problem if the company puts it in writing. Now, I don't know the case over in Kenya. As soon as I said that, Brother Moses came back. Let's see if we can get him up to ask him that question. Hopefully he can hear us. Brother Moses, can you hear me?
I'm just struggling to hear you.
Can you hear me now? Brother Moses, can you hear me?
No.
Okay. So, unfortunately, Brother Moses can't hear me. Again, those are the issues that occur, especially when over in Kenya, when the internet is unstable. Now, again, a lot of people, I've seen many young women, haven't seen too many guys, maybe one or two in my career, but you see many women, single, that are on dialysis, that maybe their child care or something fell through and they had to bring their children with them to treatment. And they're sitting out in the lobby, we're trying to keep them not engaged, but not moving around and bothering other patients. And that's hard. You have a little kid to sit still. So they have that. Number 13, I am responsible for telling my healthcare team if I have experienced any health problems between treatments, have seen a physician, or have been given new medicine and or had old medications changed. I am responsible between okay, let me start off. 14, between treatments, I am responsible for following the directions from my healthcare team that are intended to prevent health problems. 15, I am responsible for complying with laundering instructions provided by the facility when laundering personnel, clothing, and linen. 16, I am responsible for following the facility infection and safety policies, i.e. hand washing at all times, but particularly when entering the facility, prior to initiation of treatment in the facility, and prior to exiting the facility. If I am receiving hemodialysis, this also includes ensuring that my vascular access, site, and line connection are visible at all times while receiving treatment. Now, it's a couple of things in 16 that stands out. The first one, where it says, I am responsible for following the facility infection control and safety policies at all times, meaning hand washing. And you don't see this a lot. You don't see patients coming in the unit. Now it happens, but you don't see it all the time. They just walk in and it's a sink in most places right near the scale where they wash their hands and wash their access, especially after touching the door handles, going into the bathroom. You got to touch the door handle to go in the bathroom. Just think about the many people who came and went in that same bathroom. It ain't like the cleaning people clean the handle. Also, seeing when you leave in the unit after you hold your site, if they don't give you a glove, see, I give my patients a glove. And you're supposed to give a glove so when they hold it. But say somebody holding it with their hands, hey, no, I don't want no glove. Okay, they can refuse it, or they may be allergic. They holding the site and it starts bleeding through. And you know, first thing you do, you start bleeding, you take your hand off of it and wipe your hands off in the blue pad or whatever, get the blood off. And we say, hold the site, hold the site. And you put your hand back on it, or we running over to it and holding it. And then we get you all wrapped up, get your stuff together, get your weight. And you don't wipe your hand on the pad, but you didn't get all the blood off, the microscopic. Then you go touch the door and walk on out. It happens. And then the other part, you got your access up here or down here, and you may be cold, and you have a blanket, and you had the blanket cover the whole arm, and we can't see your access site. And you see, they come around and tell you, you gotta take your arm off. We gotta see your arm. And you know the reason why? Because there's been many people when you had.
Sorry, I'm still not sure about that.
And what the reason being is, if you have your arm under the cover and the needle comes out or the line separates, you could bleed to death. It's happened. It's happened. Trust me. I talked about it in my TikTok lives. Now, let's talk about, that was the patient's responsibilities. Now, let's talk about facility rules. We're almost done. Hang in there with me, guys. We're almost done. And now I challenge you. If you're watching this and you don't know what your rights and responsibility sheets are, to locate it and go over it. I challenge you. Most definitely. So let's talk about facility rules. Number 1, no weapons, alcohol, or illegal drugs of any type are allowed in the dialysis facility. I may not come to the facility intoxicated or under the influence of drugs. I've seen this a lot. I'm not going to lie. I've seen this a lot. Patients coming in, you can smell weed on them. Seen it a lot. So it happens. Number 2, no smoking, e-cigarettes, chewing tobacco, or vaporizers are allowed in the facility. No routine oral medications will be provided. I may bring these from home. However, I must tell the staff when I take any medication in the dialysis facility, because some medications can cause complications during dialysis. Phones, if available, must be shared among all patients. Please be considerate and pass along the phone if requested after 5 minutes. Number 5, visitors are allowed in the treatment appointment area only by permission of the nurse in charge. Visitors will be offered use of appropriate personnel protective equipment as deemed necessary. Blank is not responsible for lost or stolen articles. Shoes must be worn at all times while in the facility. Young children will not be allowed in the treatment appointment area except under special circumstances as determined by the nurse responsible for clinical care. In addition, children cannot be left in the waiting area without adult supervision. Number 9, eating is permitted during treatment appointment at the discretion of the facility administrator designee where medically indicated or as per state network requirements. Let me repeat that because a lot of patients ask me about eating in dialysis facilities. And I told them it's a matter of opinion. I don't know why I get this live age restriction. It's a matter of opinion. Again, it says eating is permitted during treatment. And this is from one of the big companies. Eating is permitted during treatment appointment at the discretion. It's at the discretion of the facility administrator designee where medically indicated or as per state network requirements. Number 10, this is important too. This also applies to the TikTok content creators who are also kidney warriors that may broadcast from the facility. Check it out. And this is from one of the big corporate companies. It says, number 10 of facility rules, taking videos, still photos, or audio recordings of patients and staff members is prohibited in the treatment area. Again, taking videos, still photos, or audio recordings of patients and staff members is prohibited in the treatment area. So you got to watch yourself. Because if they catch you doing that, if they want to, they can put you out. They can put you out. Number 11, no acts or threats of violence by anyone on blank premises is tolerated. Again, no acts or threats of violence by anyone on blank premises is tolerated. 12, no verbal, physical, or visual intimidation or harassment is tolerated. Could be mean mugging a staff member because they messed up your arm and now you can't do that. 13, everyone is responsible for immediately reporting acts or threats of violence, intimidation, or harassment. These reports should be given to the nurse responsible for clinic care or other blank teammates as appropriate, i.e., social worker or facility administrator. Potential consequences for failing to comply. Potential consequences for failing to comply. It goes on to say, I understand I must all stated patient standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules. My failure to comply may have serious consequences, including but not limited to. Now check this out. Why would they put this in here? Check it out. My failure to comply may have serious consequences, including but not limited to physical side effects, loss of privileges, and temporary or permanent dismissal from the facility. Now what? You're getting life-sustaining treatment, and they're telling you your failure to comply may have serious consequences, including but not limited to physical side effects, loss of privileges, and temporary or permanent dismissal from the facility. Now where you getting your treatment at, Brody? Then it goes on to say, if I behave in a way that violates these patient standards of conduct, responsibility, and facility rules, the administrator, physician, or regional director, as applicable, will discuss the behavior with me. Should I continue to behave in a way that is detrimental to the proper functioning of the facility, the interdisciplinary team, with the guidance of the ESRD network, will follow a progressive behavioral management process up to and including what I want to talk about tonight, potential involuntary discharge. Yes, kicking you out the facility. Then it goes on to say, I agree to abide by the patient's standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules at all times. You got an S on that. While registered as a patient with this facility. Then it goes on to say, I hereby acknowledge that I have read. What if you didn't read this because you wasn't feeling good? I hereby acknowledge that I have read and understand the above. I have asked whatever questions I have regarding the patient's standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules. And if I have further questions, I will ask them. What if nobody never went over this with you? What in case you came in a unit, they just had you, here, sign this, and they didn't talk about this? See, this is why education is key. So with that being said, we're over 6 minutes of the broadcast. I'd like to thank everyone who commented. Stephen Graham, thank you, sir. And Kayla from Snap Back to Life podcast for joining my podcast. All right, because again, knowledge is power. And if you, no matter where you're at, whether you're in East Africa, you're in United Kingdom, Asia, United States, Canada, check into your patient's rights and responsibilities. Because again, a lot of people sign these forms but aren't aware because they just herd you in and want you to sign so they can get you on, get your treatment started. So with that being said, I'd like to thank everyone for joining Kidney Hub East Africa. I'm very sorry my partner and co-host, Brother Moses, was experiencing internet difficulties. But we still come through. And so tune in next week, same time, same place, as we'll come back with more information that you should know, whether you're in the United States or East Africa. Oh, thank you, Kayla, for coming on. I appreciate you, most definitely. And with that being said, guys, thank you again for joining Kidney Hub East Africa with myself, Steve the Kidney Nurse, and Brother Moses Kennedy, also known as the Kidney Ambassador. So with that being said, have a great evening. Share the live or share the replay. And again, get checked for kidney disease. The life you save may be your own. Have a great evening, everyone. Peace.
Hello, I'm Darren. We have breaking news. More than 600,000 Americans have kidney failure. While the number of people with kidney failure is enormous, the number of people with its precursor, chronic kidney disease, is staggering. An estimated 31 million Americans, or about 10% of the US population. Diabetes and hypertension cause 2/3 of all cases of kidney disease. 1 out of every 3 Americans is at risk for kidney disease, and kidney disease is now among the top 10 causes of death in the United States. In addition, 9 out of 10 people with early to moderate kidney disease don't know they have it, putting their health in jeopardy. Are you at risk? For more information, contact urbankidneyalliance.org. The life you save may be yours.